The 5 Laws of Taoism, explained in simple terms. Taoism is not a religion, nor is it a philosophy. It is simply the way of life that surrounds you. In this video, I will be outlining the understanding, or my understanding, and takeaways from Tao Te Ching, and the lessons that it can teach us in today's society. These are just my understandings. If you enjoy these, I recommend reading Tao Te Ching for yourself. 1. The law of change. The law of change states that there is a constant flow of energy in the natural world. When one force is at its peak, its opposite force is at its lowest. This law can be seen in many aspects of life. For example, when we are feeling happy and content, we are not paying attention to our negative thoughts. This can happen when we have a positive outlook on life and are feeling optimistic about the future. Conversely, it is easy to see the negative side of life when you focus solely on the darkness around you. This is echoed in Stoicism. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Marcus Aurelius. With this understanding of looking at the positive side of things, keep in mind that there is undoubtedly a mirrored understanding of the situation that you could choose to view. You may have found a $20 bill on the street, however, the person who lost it will undoubtedly miss it. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. You gotta accentuate the positive. Number 2, the laws of retribution or cause and effect. The law of retribution or cause and effect is a law that states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. In the context of karma, this means that one's past actions will affect their future experiences. For example, if someone does bad things to others, they will experience suffering to themselves. In the context of cause and effect, this means that every action has an effect on something else. For example, if you drop a glass, it will break because you have done an action. You dropped it, which has had an effect. The glass broke. This law can be found echoed in other theories, such as Sir Isaac Newton's third law. Newton's third law states that when two bodies interact, they apply forces to one another that are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. The third law is also known as the law of action and reaction. Number 3, the law of unity of opposites. The law of the unity of opposites is the principle that states that there are two opposites and seemingly contradictory forces or qualities in everything. The law is also called the law of duality. This law was first proposed by Heraclitus around 500 BCE. He lived in ancient Greece. He believed that everything has two sides, and the two sides are opposites, or as he called it, fluxism. For example, day and night are opposites because they represent different times of the day. Interestingly, a very similar idea was proposed in Taoism around the same century, right at the time when Lao Tzu departed China. The law of unity of opposites is also used in many areas, including philosophy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, ecology, and even sociology. So I look for the best and am prepared for the opposite. Seneca. Number 4, the law of cyclical nature. The law of cyclical nature is a law that governs the way things change in the world. It states that everything that exists in this world is subject to cycles. This means that everything changes, but it does not mean that everything changes for the better. It is important to note here that not all cycles are equal. Some are good and some are bad. The good cycles have a positive impact on people and society, while the bad ones do the opposite. The law of cyclical nature also states that things can only change for the better if we break out of these cycles by going against what we usually do, or by doing something different from what has been done before. This is much like the quote attributed to Albert Einstein. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm going to put this as someone, sometime. Many people, I'm sure, have said that. I just said it. Maybe I'll take the quote as my own. But we really better leave this one to the Stoics. Perhaps the worst will happen. Perhaps not. But until then, look forward to better things. Seneca. Number 5, The law of the unnamed, what is termed as Tao. The law of the unnamed is often referred to as Tao. It is a concept that has been around for centuries. It states that human beings are not meant to be in control of their own destiny, and that the world should simply be allowed to happen. You could call this determinism, fate, it doesn't matter what you call it. I have found it to be all-powerful. Leaving my life to fate has been the greatest change in my thoughts. Rather than simply accepting it, I would rather enjoy it. Live every day as if I died the day prior. Growing as a person and finding my purpose has become easier when I choose to enjoy what fate has handed me. These principles can be found inside us all, regardless of our beliefs. These principles govern us whether we choose to accept them or not. If I can give you one takeaway from this video above all else, it's that you need to focus on at least one thought per day. Ponder something, anything. How soon we have forgotten what we knew as children, to question things and learn and grow. I surely don't have all the answers, and neither do you. I leave you with one profound quote that seems like common knowledge, but just try to talk to your neighbor about politics and see how widespread it is. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. That was Epictetus, of course. Thank you, and if I earned it, please consider subscribing.